What's up, everybody? I am excited. First of all, it's the beginning of the year, so this is where I'm always juiced up and jazzed up, mapping out my goals and putting my game plan together. But it's the time where I kind of do some deep reflection on the previous year and what I'm thankful for, and everything that happened last year, and then I start putting my plan together for the next year. But as I was just doing some reflection, I was just so filled with joy because I looked back on my last year, and almost everything that I wanted to accomplish happened, and it was just I was just so overwhelmed with joy. We bought a house, we had our second child, my business was booming. Me and my wife were in a good place. We took 4 big family vacations, and just about everything that we wanted to do, both collectively as a family and personally, everything happened. And so I'm just so filled with joy right now. So I apologize if I'm a little excited today, but today, now, that was me reflecting, and then I start putting together my game plan going forward. And so I want to just share with you a great process of how to put your game plan for the year together. And I'm going to be using this tool here, the 12-week year, as a template of how to systematize your goals. And if you're not familiar with the 12-week year, 12-week year is a New York Times bestseller written by Brian Moran. And it basically, the concept of the 12-week year is that you break your goals down into 12-week sprints instead of these big, long, yearly goals. And when you do that, when you bring the finish line a lot closer, you run a lot faster, right? So imagine if you were going to go run a marathon, you would probably set out at about 10, 12, maybe even 15-minute mile pace, because you want to just reserve a lot of your energy to make sure you can last all the way through to the end of the marathon. But if I told you to run to the end of the block, you probably would go out sprinting, right? When the finish line is closer, you run faster. And so oftentimes when you have these big, lofty goals, the finish line is so far that you don't really have any sense of urgency. And so the 12-week year, the big idea is that you break that goal down into these 12-week sprints, these 3-month sprints. And when you do that, you bring the finish line a lot closer. You bring your reward a lot closer, because we're very instant gratification driven, right? So if our reward is closer, we're going to move a lot faster and have urgency. So when you do that in these 12-week sprints, then it keeps your momentum stronger all year instead of kind of these lull points that you normally have because the goal is just too far away. So today I'm going to break down this concept of the 12-week year and this entire system. This is one of the best tools that I've used over the last 5 years for me to be able to hit all the goals that I have. And it's because I created this system that I'm going to share with you today, all based on the 12-week year. And so if you're not familiar with me, my name is Jarvis. I am a morning hero. I wake up at 4 a.m. every day, juiced, jazzed, and energized, and I do a process. I have a morning routine that lights my life and my day on fire. It allows me to finish the day before it even starts, and I get a whole day's worth of work done in just a few hours before most people even wake up. And that's what the morning hero means. It means you start the day every day on fire. And I'm a coach, and I help show people how to do this, how to implement these habits into their life. And so if you're interested, that's at themorninghero.com. But let's dive into the 12-week year. What is the 12-week year process? How do you break your goals down? How do you create a system so that you'll stay motivated and you'll run a lot faster throughout the year? And it's based on 7 steps, and I'm going to walk through each step with you. At a high level, the steps are vision, goals, taking those goals into 12-week targets, creating your critical action plan, building out your perfect schedule, tracking, and accountability. So I'm going to walk through each one of those steps and show you how you can build this system and apply it to any goal that you're trying to hit so that you hit it in 12 weeks instead of 12 months. So the first thing you want to do is create your vision. So what is the vision? What is your vision for the year? what does the perfect year look like for you? And so when I'm creating my vision, I like to do it and ask myself this question. By the end, if I look forward towards the end of the year, mentally I'm projecting that I'm at the end of the year and I'm looking back. I'm looking back on the year. So if I'm looking back on this year, if I'm looking back on 2022, what would have to happen for me to say, this was the most amazing year of my life? Now, I use those words very intentional. The most amazing. Because when you say that, it gets you out of this limited scope of what you think could happen this year and puts you into this big scope of what's the realm of possibility. Like, what could happen that this would be the best year of my life? And that's a big picture vision. And so oftentimes people will start their goals with this very, very small mindset. Well, I think I can grow 25% here. I think I could lose 5 pounds. But if this was going to be the most amazing, best year of your life, what would happen? And so that's the starting point, is to create a big picture vision. What do you want to happen this year? Don't be shy about it. Write it down. Just come up with an exhaustive list of everything from every area of your life. Your family life. What would happen? How would this be the most amazing year of your life in your relationship? How would this be the most amazing year of your life in your health and fitness? What would happen? With regard to your business or your income, what would happen if this was the most amazing year of your life? Write all that down. And that's step one, is coming up with your big vision. Now, once you come up with your big vision, you probably have a list of about 10 to 15 things, of big things that would happen. Now, from there, step two is you want to narrow some of that down and come up with your 3 most important. And then we're going to turn those into 3 goals. And so, you really can't have 10 big things that you're going to focus on. If you only pick 3 and say, what were the 3 most important? What would those 3 be? And I like to make sure that they're coming from different categories of life. So you don't want to have 3 big business goals. You want to have a business goal. You want to have a fitness goal, maybe a family goal. Break out your goals into different categories of life and come up with your big 3. And once you have your 3 goals, you want to make sure they're measurable. So the only way it's a goal is if it's measurable. Just to say, it's not enough to say, I want to grow my business this year. That's not measurable. Measurable means there's a number in it. It's quantifiable. It's some way we can track and measure it. So maybe you want to maybe you had 12 transactions last year, and this year you want to double. You want to have 24 transactions. That's a measurable goal. You want to have $500,000 in sales. That's a measurable goal. You want to grow by 250%. That's a measurable goal. So as long as it has a number in it, then it's measurable and trackable. So you want to take your big 3 things and come up with measurable goals. So if you want to lose weight, how many pounds do you want to lose? Put a number to it so we can measure it. The only ones that's a little harder to measure is when you talk about things like family, like you want to deepen the connections with family, or you want to grow the love in your relationship. That's harder to measure. And so the way we measure that then is, if I were to ask you, well, what does it take to deepen your relationship? Maybe it's, well, I want to do more date nights this year. Okay, how many more date nights, right? So now you start to see, now we can turn that into a measurable goal. Now, okay, this year I want to do 20 date nights with my wife. Boom, now that's a measurable goal, right? So you want to take your vision statements and come up with 3 measurable goals that we're going to then take and create a plan for. So now you got your big 3 goals. Now you want to go to step 4, which is those goals right now are probably big and lofty and they're too far out. The first big concept of this book is to now turn those into 12-week targets. Again, we're trying to bring the finish line a lot closer so that we run faster. And so you're going to turn those 3 big goals into 12-week targets. So instead of, I want to grow, I want to do 24 transactions this year, I wanted in the next 12 weeks, I think I can do 10 transactions, right? So I'm going to do 10 transactions is the 12-week target. Instead of I want to lose 20 pounds, maybe I just want to lose 10 pounds in the next 12 weeks. That's the 12-week target. Instead of 20 date nights, it's 5 date nights in the next 12 weeks. So break that down into a 12-week target. And now you're going to have a lot more sense of urgency because the finish line is a lot closer. So now that you have your 12-week target, now here comes the fun part. You got to turn that into an action plan. Now it's not enough to just have a goal. How are you going to hit the goal? And so for each of those goals, start coming up with a list of everything that's required for you to hit that target. So maybe if your business goal is to grow the number of transactions, what do you have to do to hit 12 transactions? Okay, well, I have to make more cold calls. I have to do more social media posts. I have to do more follow-up with my leads. I have to establish more referral relationships. Come up with your list of everything you have to do that's going to enable you to hit that 12-week target. And add a frequency to it. So make sure that everything has a frequency, meaning how often do you need to do it. So if it's not enough to just say I need to prospect more. Say I need to do an hour of prospecting per day. Or it's not enough to just say build more relationships. It's I need to spend do 3 relationship building meetings per week. So again, just like how we quantified the goal, make sure the actions are quantifiable too, because that's how we're gonna take it to the next level after this and schedule it. But for each one of those goals, come up with your actions. We're calling this your critical actions. That's going to enable you to hit those goals. And each one of those critical actions is a frequency. How often are you going to do it? How much time are you going to spend doing it? Now, once you know that, then the next step is to then schedule that time on your calendar. This is the most important step because right now you just have a list. You just have a list of things that you say you need to do. I need to do these things. I need to prospect more. I need to do an hour of follow-ups every day. I need to work out 4 times a week. This is just a wish list at this point. It's not a plan. And it doesn't turn into a plan until you officially put it on your calendar. Your calendar is where your commitments are. If you don't commit it to your calendar, you won't get it done. That's the Morning Hero mod tagline is, if it's not on your calendar, it won't get done. So you have to take that list of critical actions and then go to your calendar and schedule everything on your calendar. So if you say you need to do an hour of prospecting per day, you go to your calendar and block out that time. Block out an hour of prospecting every day. If you need to do 3 relationship building meetings per week, you're going to go to your calendar and block out the time. When are you going to do these 3 meetings? By the time you finish, you should have kind of your golden calendar, your perfect week. And on that perfect week, everything, all the critical actions should have dedicated blocks of time scheduled out on your perfect week. And then at that point, it's just, you got to follow through and execute. But it makes it a lot easier to execute because you've already blocked the time out to do those things on your calendar. So that's the critical part of this whole process, is you have to take that action plan and actually put it on your calendar. Spend about 10 minutes at the beginning of the week planning out your entire perfect week with all these blocks of time, even your personal stuff. So if your family goal is on, if you have a family goal of more quality time with family and date nights, block those blocks out on your calendar. You'd be surprised at how often you'd stick with something when you take the time to block it out on your calendar, even the personal things like your workouts and your family time. So I am religious about my calendar. And if you've seen any of my other videos, you know I do something called the 0 calendaring technique, and it's where every day I schedule my calendar down to the minute, everything from the time I wake up all the way to the time I go to bed. Personal, professional, everything, family, all of those things, I block out that time on my calendar, and it ensures that the day goes exactly the way I want each day. So do this with your week. Start the week off understanding for each of my goals, what are the big critical actions that need to happen, and then go over to your calendar, block all those things out. Now, then you get to step 6. Now, you get to the end of the week, it's time to take score on yourself. You got to track and take score on how well you did. So I like to do this kind of I call it like a Monday planning process. In the first part of my Monday planning, I'm looking back. I look back on the previous week and I score myself. If you never take score, then how do you know if you're keeping progress or if you're sticking to the plan? You got to be real with yourself. Give yourself an honest score. How did you do last week? So if I said I was going to work out 3 times, I was going to prospect every day, I was going to meet with 3 people and have 3 relationship building meetings. If I said I was going to do those things, now I go one by one and check off what did I do and what didn't I do? Did I do all my prospecting? Did I do my 3 meetings? Did I get my 3 workouts in? Yes or no? And give yourself, at the end of this, you'll have a score. If you hit 2 out of 4, that score is a 50%. That's failing. You want to have a score somewhere above 80%. If you have a weekly score above 80%, you're almost guaranteed that you're going to hit your 12-week target. So this only works if you're taking score every week. Because the moment you start taking score on yourself, there's this saying that what gets tracked improves, or what gets measured improves. The moment you start measuring yourself, everything you're measuring will start to improve. So the scorekeeping is a really vital element. And then that leads us to step 7, which is accountability. Now there's 2 types of form. There's self-accountability, and then there's outside accountability. So self-accountability is I need motivation to hold myself accountable and be honest with myself. And to be honest, I don't believe in self-accountability because it's too easy to lie to yourself. It's too easy to let yourself off the hook. There's no consequence if it's just you alone. Outside accountability is where you have other people. You have either an accountability partner or you have an accountability group that you meet with on at least on a weekly basis to go over your score, to go over what went well, where did you fall short, what do you need to fix. Like the moment you have outside accountability, you know that there's a checkpoint coming up. It will hold that will alone will create this internal motivation to do your actions, because you don't want to show up to that accountability appointment with bad news. You don't want to show up not delivering what you committed to. And so oftentimes this accountability meeting will become the staple of this whole process, is because it's going to be the thing that's going to keep you on task with doing your critical actions each week. The moment you know that someone else is going to ask you if you did that thing, all of a sudden you're going to do it. But if it's just you by yourself, it's too easy. Can you say, oh, I'll just do it next week? Or, okay, I didn't make all my calls this week, so what? So adding accountability could be the biggest thing that you could do to make sure that this process works for you. And that's simple. That's as simple as one, getting an accountability partner, saying, hey Bob, let's do this together. Every week we'll get on a Zoom call, we'll check in with each other, we'll review our score. How did you do last week? And then together we'll plan on all of our critical actions for this upcoming week. So that's what that accountability meeting could look like. Or you can join an accountability group. There are groups out there that are already established that do this process. So you join a group and you'll meet on either a weekly basis, or there are even groups that meet daily to do this process together. In fact, that's what we do at the Morning Hero. The Morning Hero, we organize these accountability groups, daily groups or weekly groups that get together. They commit to what their big goals are. They hold each other accountable. They take score. And they have a tracking. In the Morning Hero, we built a custom tracking tool that tracks your score. And so now you're on a scoreboard with everyone else in your group. So it kind of turns it into a game and makes it fun. But more importantly, you have people supporting you, encouraging you. And that alone could be the thing that helps you, is when you know there are other people in it with you that's going to help push you forward. So that's at the Morning Hero. And if you're interested to learn more about the accountability groups that we have, you can just send me an email. It's jarvis@themorninghero.com. And then I'll let you know how those accountability groups work. But in general, this concept of having outside accountability, hands down, could be the biggest difference maker in this system working for you or not working for you. I remember when I first started and I built this out for myself, I kind of built this tracking tool, and at first I wasn't sticking with it myself. I wasn't sticking to the critical actions. I wasn't tracking it. It was like at the beginning of the week, I would just make this list of stuff and I would forget about it. And so several weeks would go by and I'm like, well, gosh, what happened? How come I'm not staying on track here? How come am I not living up to these commitments that I wanted to make for myself? And then I invited a gentleman that worked in my office with me. I said, hey, let's do this together. And we started getting on a call every morning. And we got on a call every morning. And it was like our daily checkpoint. Okay, here are the things that I'm committing to today. And then, first of all, we would do was review yesterday. Did I hit my score yesterday? And then we would commit to what our big 3 actions were for the day. And I started doing that. That checkpoint every day, that year, I doubled my sales in my real estate practice. Just from that little checkpoint of knowing that I had somebody that was going to ask me, did I make all my prospecting calls yesterday? Did I do these things that I said I was going to commit to? Just having that doubled my sales. So the accountability part is 100% the glue that holds this whole process together. And so if you're interested, we do groups like that inside the Morning Hero. You can just email me at jarvis@themorninghero, and I can walk you through how a group like that could work for you. So this is the 12-week year process in a nutshell. Everything from your vision to your goals to your action plan and your schedule to tracking and accountability. If you can systematize your goals, this works for everything. It works for your finance goals, your fitness goals, your family, your relationships, your personal growth and development, your passion projects. Any goal you have, you can apply this exact process, and guaranteed it'll take it from just this long yearly thing to now you're running full speed, and you'll probably knock it out in the next 12 weeks. So I hope this helped you and blessed you. Leave a comment below. Let me know, what was your biggest takeaway from this? Out of all that whole process, what was the biggest aha moment you had from this 12-week year process? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. All right, till next time, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.